Good day everyone. Welcome to Edinburgh, the Royal Mile. Today we're going on to do a documentary as reference to this magnificent cathedral, St Giles. St Giles was a prince born in Athens around 650 AD. He went to France and became a hermit in the forests around Nimes. Legend says that one day King Wamba of the Goths was hunting and shot an arrow at a deer St Giles had tamed. To save his companion, St Giles blocked the arrow with his hand, hence depictions of St Giles with an arrow through his hand. Later he became the patron saint of lepers and cripples. During the Middle Ages, many churches were dedicated to St Giles. The cathedral probably dates from the 12th century Norman architecture, but it was rebuilt in a Gothic style in the 14th to 16th century. Built as a Catholic church, the cathedral became Presbyterian after the Scottish Reformation in 1560, with John Knox being the first Protestant minister. We'll go in now, folks, and take a look inside, show you some pointers of interest. Now, a history of St Giles. Founded in 1124, St Giles Cathedral has been the backdrop to 900 years of Scottish history. Originally a Roman Catholic church, the Scottish Reformation in the 16th century saw it adopt Protestantism, serving as John Knox's parish church up until his death in 1572 as such. St Giles is widely considered the mother church of the Presbyterianism. During the 17th century, St Giles played host to Charles I's attempt to impose the Anglican prayer book on the Presbyterian Scots. The Scots declined by writing the National Covenant, and at the end of the ensuing War of the Three Kingdoms, Scotland was able to continue to determine its own religious future. St Giles still plays an important part in the life of Scotland. It is where Queen Elizabeth II received the honours of Scotland in 1953, and it remains home to the Order of the Thistle, who meet annually in the Thistle Chapel, one of the many important services we hold here every year. So that's the start of your journey in St Giles. Well, let's start at the beginning here and work our way around. There's quite a lot of military artefacts here as well that I'm seeing. There's one, the 9th Battalion Highlanders, the Royal Scots. There's one there. In memory of the officers, warrant officers, non-commissioned officers and men of the 9th Battalion Highlanders, the Royal Scots, who gave their lives in the Great War, 1914 to 1918. I will give them an everlasting name. That's the plaque for the Royal Scots. As I say, there's quite a few dedicated to the military. The stained glass windows all date from the 19th and 20th century and are an outstanding feature of the cathedral, which you can see. Some more dedicated plaques here for various people. John Brown, Dr. John Brown, physician and essayist. Ronald John Billsland, Colville, 2nd Baron, Clydesmuir. That's his plaque there. He was a soldier, industrialist and a banker, among many other things. In memory of Thomas Chalmers there. John Swartz Blackie, that one. Scholar, poet and philosopher. It's a little plaque there for the writer's corner in front of us. If you're ever coming to visit, you'll see all these plaques in and around the cathedral that you can read and catch up on the history of things. Margaret O.W. Oliphant, novelist. Robert Ferguson. And as you can see how magnificent this cathedral is, I'll take you into centre here and see some of the centre of the cathedral, the middle of the cathedral. And any of you that's followed my videos, especially the one about St Mary's Cathedral in the West End of Edinburgh, I talked about the voussoirs and the archways and the architecture. Well, it's exactly the same in this cathedral, about the voussoirs. Typical examples there up there, see? There they are there. These magnificent windows keep cropping up. A lot of workmanship went into them. You can see how much work's been put in, meticulous, well detailed workmanship. That plaque there, Sir Robert Stoddart Lorimer, that one. That one there. Again, you see the architecture, it's magnificent. And here's a plaque of James Cameron Lees, this one. James Cameron Lees. He was the Dean of the Thistle Chapel Royal in Scotland from 1886 to 1913 and Minister of St Giles 1877 to 1909. That's a little bit about James Cameron Lees. The low relief bronze portrait of the Edinburgh-born writer Robert Louis Stevenson, 1850 to 1994, was designed by the American sculptor Augustus St. Gaudens, an admirer of the author. So that's him there, Robert Louis Stevenson. Now the small holy blood aisle. This is it here. The small holy blood aisle, monument to James Stuart, Earl of Moray, half-brother of Mary Queen of Scots and Regent of Scotland from 1567 to 1570. He was assassinated in 1570. The assassination and Knox preaching at his funeral are illustrated in the window above. And that's it up there. The Holy Table. The small holy blood, flanked by stalwart pillars, the sanctuary with the Holy Table dominates the centre of the building. That's it there. And here we have the Chapman Aisle. The Chapman Aisle contains an elaborate memorial to James Graham, Marquess of Montrose, who was first a Covenanter but finally supported King Charles I during the English Civil War, 1641 to 1649. He was executed in 1650. The Chapman Aisle bears the name of Walter Chapman, who had it built in 1513. He is most famous for introducing printing to Scotland. So that's the Chapman Aisle. Marquess of Montrose, James Graham. And that's him lying there. And the Preston Aisle contains the heraldic banners of the Knights of the Thistle. That's them there, the heraldic banners. The aisle was built around 1460 to house an arm bone of St Giles, and as a memorial to the man who acquired it, Sir William Preston of Craigmillar Castle. The relic was thrown out at the Reformation when Queen Elizabeth II visited Scotland after her coronation in 1953. The Scottish crown jewels were presented to her at the wooden communion table you can see. Behind me, that's the Union communion table. There. Here's a little bit about the chapel construction, the Thistle Chapel construction. And here's a bit about the crime and punishment, 17th century Edinburgh. Crime and punishment. If you were to come and visit the cathedral, you would see all these artifacts and plaques of the histories. And here we have this magnificent organ behind me. The organ was made by the Austrian firm Reger and installed in 1992. It was donated by the Salvesen family. The National Covenant was signed by Scots in 1638, declaring their support for the Reformed faith and showing their opposition to King Charles I, who wanted more control over the Scottish Church. The National Covenant laid the foundations of the Presbyterian Church and the establishment of the Church of Scotland itself in 1690. So that's the Covenant, folks, 1690. That's the Thistle Chapel. Is the place of worship and meeting of the 16 knights and ladies of the Order of the Thistle. Hm, the Queen, is the head of the order. The patron saint of the order is St Andrew, and its motto is Memo me impune lacessit. No one attacks me with impunity. The chapel was built between 1909 and 1911. Its elaborate carvings of Scottish oak are notable. The Thistle Chapel. Ships built there, HMS Howe, 1942. Now, the Chambers Aisle was restored as a memorial to William Chambers, Lord Provost of Edinburgh, who undertook a major restoration of the cathedral in 1872-1883. That's the Chambers Aisle. Here we come to John Knox, and that's him there, John Knox. John Knox, minister in St Giles from 1559 to 1572. Powerful preacher and leader of the Reformation of Scotland. And that's John Knox. And here we come to St Eloy Isle, there. Again, you can see an example of the magnificent windows there. St Eloy's Isle is named after the patron saint of Edinburgh, most powerful medieval guild, the hammermen who maintained a chapel nearby to pray and trade. The isle contains the memorial to Archibald Campbell, Marquis of Argyll, leader of the Covenanter cause, who executed his bitter enemy Montrose in 1650. Campbell himself was executed in 1661. Now, this is the Albany Isle behind me. Was built in 1409 by the two most powerful nobles in Scotland, the Duke of Albany, brother of King Robert III, and the 4th Earl of Douglas, who were accused of murdering their heir to the throne, the chapel was rededicated in 1945 to those who fell during the 2 World Wars. That's the Albany Isle. Some more very interesting artefacts behind me there. The Royal Scots Greys. To the glory of God, the Royal Scots Greys. It's another military artefacts. Take a look at the magnificent cathedral we have here in Edinburgh, St Giles. The chancel or choir is the oldest part of the church. It was built between 1320 and 1380. The church was enlarged between 1450 and 1490. Now there we have Robert Burns's window. I'm a bit too far away to give you a full detail of it, but that's it there. Robert Burns's window. Robert Burns's window, 1985. Closer view to Robert Burns's window there. So that's the St Giles Cathedral. Hope you've enjoyed the visit. Showing you some of the points of interest in this very famous, magnificent cathedral here on the Royal Mile in Edinburgh. Thanks for viewing. Hope to see you all on the next journey. TCSS, take care, stay safe. Bye for now.